Hey everybody, Brian Schwager here, founder of the Wellness Movement Center, and I have some empowering news for you, and the key word here is empowering. I'm going to empower you with knowledge. Now, in no way, shape, or form am I diagnosing or showing you how to treat a disease. That's not my specialty. But what my specialty is, from a wellness movement specialist perspective, is to help you to feel well and then move well through life. Today my focus is increase immune system response. This is in response to all that we have been up against for the last 60 or so days with this COVID-19. On my perspective from the immune system side of things and the misinterpretations of what the immune system does and how it operates. How many of you out there right now know how your immune system works? I'm not going to get into the science of it. If you want to read a little bit more information, I don't go too technical in my articles, but go to my website, wellnessmovementcenter.com, and go to my blog, and there are articles that specifically have the word cellular in them, or the word immune system in them. Well, and let's start with the 4 principles. The 4 principles help us to boost our immune system. Even if you have a physical health problem and you have inflammation, that is having to do indirectly with a compromised immune system. When the body is not doing well with arthritis and all these different inflammatory challenges, the immune system is suffering. But what we're going to talk about today is mainly the first 3 principles. Now, let me review. Principle number 1 is emotional health, how we handle stress. Principle number 2 is biochemical health, how are we sleeping. And principle number 3 is nutritional health, how are we digesting, what and when are we eating and drinking. And of course, principle number 4 is how we're moving. And you notice how that is number 4. Even though when most people call me, that's what they want to work on. Let me also add here that those that know me and have read what I do and what we do as the Wellness Movement Center is totally integrated and holistic. In other words, when you have a physical challenge, just looking at the physical part of it will not go to the cause. And I would say that more now than ever in my career, people are wanting to get to the cause of their problem. They're done dancing around treating the symptom, and they've reached a level of frustration where they would like to understand why this is happening. Remember, the important word here is why do we have a compromised immune system? Why am I susceptible to disease, viruses, and bacteria? Why is that? It's because we're dirty, we're toxic, we have polluted our environmental systems, and we don't know how to take care of this organism. Nobody gave us a how-to manual, and in the information we thought was right, we're finding out is incorrect. Like as an example, you'll see in the center of this logo, there's a human picture of a human body. I put that there because you don't have one system that's causing the problem, or in this case, one principle. And I'll always use this analogy. So let's say somebody comes to me with a back problem. You don't have a back problem, you have a body problem. The body is interrelated. The body is interconnected. It's a multi-dimensional organism, meaning that yes, you do have a lower back problem, but the source of it may be somewhere else. And the associated challenges to your back are also located in different systems of the body. So now you have an inflammatory problem, you have a muscle, bone, or joint or tissue problem. We have also, because the back is sacrificed, you may also have digestive problems. You might be going through high emotional stress. You notice how the list goes on? So when we look at why we get sick, 1, 2, 3, 4, is we always start with number 1. The body is controlled by how we perceive and how it reacts throughout the rest of the system. The 2 most important systems of the body are the nervous system and the hormonal system. Yes, the immune system is important, but the immune system is a circulating nervous system. It is self-regulating, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, your immune system is working hard, and it's out there working on many different things. It's got to fight a virus over here, it's fighting an infection over here, it's repairing things down over there. But when it's overloaded, the response system begins to slow down. And for some of us, it's working harder than it can keep up. And for a lot of us, it's overwhelmed, so it is not responding the way it should. Another way of looking at immune response is when there's a fire, a regular fire, how long does it take for the paramedics or the fire trucks to get there? The quicker they can get there, the faster they can respond. But if, let's say, we were short-handed with firefighters and paramedics, it would take a lot longer because they're busy over here when there's something happening over here. The 4 principles. So what we want to look at is basically when someone comes here, the first thing I need to do besides hear them is listen, because they're calling me or talking to me about a challenge, and then of course I got to get more details, so then I ask them, would you be open to a comprehensive consultation where I can collect more information and properly rate each principle, and on that rating scale, and the very first one we look at is emotional health. Why is that number 1? Why? Well, you guessed it, or maybe you didn't know. Well, it's because your thoughts and your mind control everything. It's from the top down, ladies and gentlemen. Even your body is regulated by what happens and how the brain is operating. Even the systems in your body, like the immune system, that's self-regulatory, or like growth mechanisms in your body and other metabolic functions, are all happening without you thinking about it. You don't have to consciously think about that, because that's an automated part of your system. There are certain muscle reactions in your body that are supposed to be automated. Now, yes, they can become dysfunctional, and it's usually by the error of the person running the system that creates that dysfunction. So what does that mean? The error in the person running it. So if I'm operating a vehicle and I lose operational control and I get into an accident, that is a driver error. And most challenges with vehicles are operational errors. Yeah, once in a while there's manufacturer errors and there's malfunctions with the machine itself, but we are not operating it correctly, or we are not feeling right, which causes a malfunction in how we operate our machine, our car. Well, what about the human body? Do you have an operating system? Do you understand that you're the driver of this automobile? And what I teach people by rating their wellness and movement and creating a plan is I'm empowering you to become more control-worthy over your system by suggesting to take out certain foods. For example, with the immune system. Right now, if you want to boost your immune system, there are certain foods and substances that should not be taken into the body, especially if your immune system is compromised. Sugar, as an example, will reduce immune function. Immune function. Fear, negativity, anger, all of these negative emotions reduce immune function. Just like the opposite, laughter and joy enhance immune function. So principle number 1 is very important, because stress, as we have been taught, stress is the culprit to everything, isn't it? Right? Your lifestyle is stressed out, so that you're not getting the right sleep, you're not eating the right foods, and your body feels like hell. It all started with what? How we perceive and how we think based on the choices that we make. So let's say we're highly stressed and we do not choose to reduce our stress. That's going to affect our sleep because it's going to affect your hormone levels. You want to release melatonin and serotonin, right? In order to get sleep and deep sleep. Well, that ain't going to happen if you're living in high stress. Stress may cause you to change what you're eating or drinking, if you know what I mean. Right now, the prevalence of more alcoholic consumption and more drug abuse is happening now more than ever because of the level of stress, and because the stress also affects our digestive system. And our digestive system is directly linked to our brain. They're one and the same. Science is now calling the gut the second brain. But when we're not digesting correctly, we're creating a proliferation of problems into the blood, which causes another problem, which is used to be related to an autoimmune response. All this to say, it all started with the emotional stress, the decrease in sleep, the malfunctions in the nutritional health category, and now people can't move correctly because they're inflamed, they're tired, they're sore, and they're achy. And hey, it sounds like the flu, doesn't it? A flu, symptoms of the flu, is just a compromised immune system, overtaxed, and the body is what it's doing by raising the body temperature and sweating, and other ways of releasing toxins from the body. That's your body's natural immunity. It will raise temperature to burn off, and then it has to excrete what it doesn't want. And that's why when we have a compromised immune system, it's very important to limit and to regulate what we're putting in the body so that we can enhance, I should say, this detoxification response. Now, between 1993 and even like 2001, 2002, I was immersed in cellular health in the 90s. I was immersed in understanding what the immune system does for various reasons, but one reason for sure was because of the premature death of my mother from cancer. Boy, did I drive that education, and boy, did I seek out and learn a lot and learn the truth behind how the immune system works. Let me dumb it down for you. You either have sad cells or you have happy cells. You have over 70 trillion cells in the body. Some are immune cells, you have skin cells, you have bone cells, you have muscle cells. You have 70 trillion cells in the body. Are they happy or are they sad? Well, I'll tell you, with your immune system being your #1 defense against everything, including cancer, I'm quoting the National Institutes of Health, and your immune system is identifying with your emotional system, because your immune system, it sort of eavesdrops on your conversation. In fact, right now, because I'm giving you this empowering information of the truth, my cells are happy. When your cells are happy, there's toxins coming out and there's nutrients going in, including oxygen. Oxygen is a nutrient, not just like antioxidants or certain foods that put nutrients in for building bones or muscles or nerve cells. There's got to be an exchange of toxins going out and nutrients going in. Or all cells float in a fluid-rich environment. What two environments are fluid enriching? The blood system and the lymphatic system. Now the blood system, most people know what that does and what pumps the blood. Of course, the heart. What about the lymphatic system? I remember doing hundreds of talks through the 90s on this topic, and I would ask my audience, and barely anybody really understood what the lymphatic system does. It's a detoxification system of your body. It's a sewage sludge, right? Well, imagine your cells floating in an environment that's toxic and polluted because the pump is off. This cellular environment and this conversation opened up to me when I read the works of Dr. Claude Bernard and Dr. Antoine Béchamp, which was written way in the 1800s, late 1700s into the early 1800s. And they were two contemporary doctors that were in argument with Louis Pasteur's germ, because even a virus, a bacterium, and a germ is a living, ugly organism, but it has to thrive, and it thrives off of a dirty environment. Let me use this analogy. We have a fish tank, and we have exotic fish. And if the fish tank isn't properly oxygenated, if the water doesn't have a certain alkaline balance or pH balance, when the water is out of balance, the fish will die because the environment that they're floating in is dirty. Why would that be any different inside the human body? You understand the difference between acid and alkaline, and we're trying to find that baseline pH, which is the power of hydrogen, by the way. But it has to live, and it wants to live and thrive in a very toxic environment. What these two contemporary physicians were asking Louis Pasteur was this: what if we change the environment? So let's go over to our SAD cell. We have increased toxicity, decreased nutrients and oxygen. We have a polluted cellular environment. And what they were saying was this to Louis Pasteur: when we clean up the environment where the cell is living, and we can decrease toxicity and increase nutrient absorption into the cell along with O2, when we change the environment, it changes the function of the cell. Very interesting. The lymphatic system, the cellular environment, needs to be cleaned, so we need to pump the lymphatic system with movement.
You would help me in welcoming Brian Schwager.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Dr.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, welcome back.
Cellular exercise stimulates the lymphatic system. So the use of this round disc with a bunch of springs creates a pump for the lymph. What pumps the blood? Right. So what pumps the lymph? Right. Who said breath? So your diaphragm not only oxygenates the blood, pumps the lymph, which is our main discussion here. If it does not work, number one, we're not getting proper lymphatic drainage the way we really should if we're using breath to drive the lymph. The lymphatic system must work. When you breathe deep, right, into the diaphragm, you're creating a vacuum with every breath to move that lymph. There are one-way valves, filaments, in the lymphatic system. There are sacs on top of sacs, and the valves must open and close with motion. There's other ways to get it open and close, but we'll use movement since that's our direction. And when we go down on the unit and we create gravity as our friend here, we get deceleration in gravity, and that creates lymphatic motion. You see that? So what happens is every time I go up and down, this is what's going on. The valves are closed on the way up, and every time I sink into the mat, the valves are opening, and we're getting lymph pulling from one chamber to the next chamber to the next chamber. So what we're talking about with this diaphragmatic breathing is also that it reduces stress. How many people out there have heard of the term fight to flight? Now what they're calling it is the fight, flight, and freeze response, which is very symptomatic, which means it's a high stressful situation. From exercise, that's very stressful on the body. Some of it is. Tai Chi, Qigong, Feldenkrais, and Alexander techniques I call mindful. So those exercises don't stimulate the nervous system. Those are what we have learned through the Czech Institute as work-in exercises, which restore and replenish. But going back to fight to flight, throughout the given day of every individual, they may have 5 to 15 mini fight to flight responses, or they may have a bunch of mini ones, but they may have 2 huge ones. So let's say somebody got up late for work, and that could be huge for some people, but to me that's not as bad as finding out that maybe a loved one just died. That's a fight to flight. Or you're being threatened. That's a fight to flight, especially if you're, like right now, we're being threatened by not being able to work. So it affects our system, which affects our foundation, which is our home, our rent, and our food. These are all survival mechanisms. So right now, we're being bombarded with ways to reduce immune function, which then affect our sleep, which then affect what we eat and drink, which then affect how we move. You start seeing the picture? And remember, today's focus is about the immune system and about how can we boost it. How can you boost your immune system? Well, I'll tell you one thing right now, stop watching the news. Don't be inundated by the information. Find your sources from things that are more qualified. Don't be inundated with constant information. It's already out. That's one thing we can do. Sit outside and enjoy the day. Find prayer or meditation to calm the mind and calm the nervous system. If you have a hobby that you can do while you're home, like drawing, maybe you have some sort of an artistic, part of you that needs to be expressed. Turn on the music and dance. I do that a lot while I'm at home. What I'm talking about here are ways to reduce the emotional stress response. Because when that kicks in, that affects our biochemical system. That affects your hormones, and now you're not sleeping. And remember, sleep is vitally important for restoration. Your body repairs itself between about 10:30 and 2 a.m. So if you can't get to sleep at night, you're affecting bodily repair. Between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. is when your brain kind of restores. So neurotransmitters and all the neurological systems. When people are getting up, the middle of the night and they can't get back to sleep, that is deregulating the response and repair for that particular system. So now you're not getting the proper recovery and replenishment, but yet you will end up getting up the next day, and here we go again, and especially right now, right back into the fire. Here's the news, you can't go to work, wear a mask. Direction that we're looking at this completely wrong. Just like we've looked at back problems, if I may go back to the guy with the back problem, I told him he's got a body problem. We have taken a wrong approach to treating back injuries for decades. The wrong approach. That's why there's only a temporary relief, or when they get surgery, we're not looking at the complete picture. That's why holistic medicine and integrative approach is what we do here at the Wellness Movement Center. That is my purpose. That was my decision I made over 25 years ago when I was embarking on more education to help people to feel and move well through life. Here's the deal. I can give you a fish and feed you for a day, or I can teach you the fish and feed you for a lifetime. We're here to coach and teach you and empower you so that you can help yourself the rest of your life. That's where we went wrong. We're not empowering these people with the right information and developing a specific plan for every person, because everybody's a little bit different, obviously. And teaching them that taking a holistic and integrative approach is the only way to resolve the challenge. It's all about keeping the environment as clean as possible. From the mind to the rest of the body, there is a connection, and really it all starts with principle number 1. do we have control with how we handle what we think? The weakest muscle in the body, ladies and gentlemen, is the mind. Take this information, share it with your family and friends. If you have questions, if you'd like to get started and do your own writing and find out where you're at and get your life back. Take it back. Get your power back. That's what I'm all about here, is empowering my clients to take control of their health. In this case, take control of their wellness and their movement. I'm saying, have an awesome day. Stay empowered. Be well, and bye for now. Namaste.